So you've started your virtual pelvic PT practice and you are at the point where you're wondering, what kind of tech things do I need in order to see patients successfully? For those of you that are new here, my name is Taylor Kirk. I am a digital marketing and business consultant for pelvic health practices. I offer done-for-you marketing services as well as business consulting to help practice owners stay on the right track with their business planning and grow their business as much as they want to do so. If you'd like to learn more about how I help pelvic health practices just like you with done-for-you marketing services and business consulting, head on over to my website, thepelvicmarketer.com. Or if you just like to stay up to date with all of my latest content, you can follow me on Instagram at thepelvicmarketer and like and subscribe to my YouTube channel at The Pelvic Marketer once again. So tech things wise, when it comes to seeing patients in like a virtual setting, obviously things are going to look a little different than what they would in the clinic setting. When it comes to your virtual practice, obviously you're going to need some form of technology to see your patients. So first things first is you're going to need a reliable computer, and this can be a desktop version, a laptop version. Really, it's whatever you have as well as what works the best for you. Some people I know that have desires to travel and also see patients virtually prefer to use a laptop so they can take it with them. They just make sure to have a good setup no matter where they are to see their patients, but also just having a laptop at home that you use in your designated office space or designated area for seeing patients is great. So the laptop obviously allows you to be more mobile. The desktop is stationary and is going to be in probably one room where you're going to see patients, but either way is great. The other thing you need to make sure is that your laptop or desktop computer has a well-functioning web camera, and that camera should provide a decent quality picture for both you and the patient so that they can see you well, you can see them well throughout their sessions. It's important that there is good quality video going both ways during your session. The other thing you're obviously going to need is some type of internet or Wi-Fi service, and you want to make sure that whatever plan that you use for internet is going to be conducive for you seeing patients in the virtual setting. You don't want some type of internet that cuts in and out all the time, or that is super glitchy, or results in super pixely quality of your video calls with your patients. So those are things to think about when you are getting set up to see your patients when it comes to like your computer, your webcam, your internet, all that good jazz. The next thing that you're going to need, and this really isn't tech related, where you set up your laptop or your computer to see your patients during their virtual sessions, you need to designate a quiet space or quiet area that's well lit and then like free of distractions. Obviously, we want this space to be appropriate. Don't see people out of your bathroom. You don't necessarily have to have like an office space or like a single room designated to you seeing clients within your home if that's what you're doing when you're seeing them during their virtual appointment. But it would be nice to make sure that you can set yourself up in a location either within your home, or if you are, like I said, traveling and that's what you enjoy to do, but still see virtual patients, set yourself up in a place, once again, that's going to be quiet, well lit, free of distractions, and that you can provide your patient that one-on-one time without disruptions during their sessions, because that's going to be very important. And as far as like, I would say this is getting more into like the techie thing or the techie sides of things. When it comes to using some type of like virtual video meeting software, documentation, housing client information, and then being able to easily share these things with your client, I would recommend, if you're just getting started as a pelvic health practice in the virtual setting, I would start with Google Workspace. And I know that this sounds maybe just a little silly because like, why would we use Google for our business? But most people are familiar with using the Google platform, both you and your patient more than likely. And Google Workspace have all sorts of plans, but I would say the one that I would recommend is the business standard plan, and it's only $12 a month. So that's super cheap for you to be able to house all of your virtual sessions, your documentation, your client information, and then being able to share that stuff with your client as well. So Google Workspace allows you to use the platform Google Meet, and Google Meet is HIPAA compliant, so you don't have to worry about any of that or like compromising patient confidentiality. Google Meet is super simple to use and is something that would probably be easy for your patient to use as well, which is really what we want, is that we want it to be as user-friendly as possible when you're seeing the patients that you're seeing. So Google Workspace, like I said, Google Meet is huge. It allows you to use Google Meet. You can also record your sessions if that's something that like you or your patient decide is what's best for you during those Google Meet virtual sessions, so that they can refer back to them or you can refer back to them. So that's an option with Google Meet. The other thing with Google Workspace, it gives you access to all the things Google Drive wise, Google Sheets, Google Docs, Google Forms, all sorts of things like that. And we talked about in one of our previous videos with creating like intake and consent forms, utilizing Google Forms as the place that you create those forms and house those forms. So why not keep it all within Google? So as far as like documentation within Google Workspace, you can create Google Docs as like template documentation pages. So like you'll probably need a template for an initial evaluation. So that first session that you meet with your patient, you can set that all up in Google Docs. Same thing with your daily notes or your follow-up sessions. You can set that up within Google Docs. Whenever you go to see a new patient or whenever you go to see a follow-up patient, you can just like make a copy of that specific documentation type that you're trying to do for that session. So all that can be housed in there. And then one thing I would encourage you to do is with each patient that you see, create their own folder for them within Google Drive so that you can house all of their documentation, all their notes, all their client information, everything that you get from them in those folders. And then you can also, if your patient is interested in this, you can share that folder with them or specific documents with them via Google so that they can access them as well in case they want to refer back to exercise plans that you recommended for them, or if they had specific questions and then you provided them answers and you kind of like took notes on those and wrote those down, you can give them access to refer back to those documents so that they can continue with being in the loop with their care even when you're not having a specific session with them. And I think the last thing that's super important, so once you have everything set up, like you have your desktop or your laptop and your webcam ready to go, you've got your quiet space set up that's well lit, free of distractions, you've got your documentation pieces set up, you're going to use Google Meet within Google Workspace, all of that stuff is ready to go. I would encourage you before seeing your first actual paying client to have like a practice session with either a friend or family member and like treat them as kind of like a mock patient. So if you are practicing for like an initial evaluation, I would have your friend or family member or whoever come on, and I would go through your initial evaluation process as you would if they were a true patient and ask them the questions you want to ask, have them perform the different movement assessments you want them to perform so that you get a feel of what it's really going to be like when you see your first patient, and also to make sure that you personally are comfortable with this process of seeing somebody virtually, because that's not always going to be the right fit for everyone, every clinician, and same with follow-up sessions. So I would practice an initial evaluation session with a friend or family member, and then I would also practice a follow-up session with a friend or family member where you're actually guiding them through different exercises, providing them cues and feedback, and once again making sure that you feel comfortable with that the flow goes well. Your friend or family member can give you feedback to let you know like how they felt like the experience was, if there was anything that made them feel uncomfortable, if there was anything that they really liked about it. That way when you go into your first paying client session, you're comfortable, you know what you're doing, and you can carry over that learning experience of trial running with a friend or family member into that true patient experience to make sure that they have the best session possible. So yeah, I would say overall, as far as like the tech setup for your virtual pelvic PT practice, just to kind of like reiterate the things we've already talked about, you need to have a good, reliable computer, either desktop or laptop, a clear quality webcam, reliable internet is very important, a quiet, well-lit space that's free of distractions to see your patients, and then make sure you get set up with Google Workspace. Once again, $12 a month. You can't beat that in order to provide virtual sessions and house all of the information, with Google Meet, with documentation, with sharing that information with clients. I would encourage you to really consider that when you're first getting started, and then to practice your virtual sessions with friends or family members just to make sure you're comfortable and that your patient is going to feel comfortable when you see them for the first time. And if you are looking for help as far as like getting started with your pelvic health practice, either virtually or brick and mortar, it doesn't really matter, or the marketing side of things where you are trying to acquire patients, trying to get started with digital marketing, such as social media marketing, blog writing, video content, all that kind of stuff. Or if you're just looking for help as far as business consulting and just help with guiding and growing your business, I provide that one-on-one business consulting service that I will walk side by side with you to grow your business to the point that you would like to see achieved. Once again, you can find me on my website, thepelvicmarketer.com. That's where all the information about my services are. Or you can follow me on Instagram at thepelvicmarketer. I will make sure to link my website in the description below. If the services that I offer feel like they resonate well with you and the current point you're at in running your own virtual or brick and mortar pelvic health practice, and you would like more help, get in touch with me. I will make sure to include the link in the description, how to do so. You can book a free consultation call with me and we can see what steps are going to be best for you as far as moving forward with your practice. And if this video was helpful or if you found it resonated with you, make sure to hit the like button, subscribe to my YouTube channel, and please reach out to me if you have any questions. There are definitely far more complex ways to get started with the tech setup of your virtual pelvic practice, but this video was just to help simplify that and help you to see that it's really not that challenging to get started with seeing patients virtually. And thank you guys so much for taking the time to listen, and I will see you guys in the next one.